Good afternoon, and you know what time it is. It's time to get it on. It is time to get it on with the one and only, your community activist, the one and only GA for Justice, Georgia Allen. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you today, Henderson?
I'm marvelous. I'm living.
All right, all right. I can't believe it. We saw each other yesterday at the doctor's office, come back today, and we're on the show together. This is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
Hey, God don't make no mistakes. That's all I can tell you.
Absolutely. Well, good afternoon, everybody. It is 12 or a little bit after 12 noon today. I am Georgia F. Allen, your host with GA for Justice. And today's KWANZAA principle is UMOJA or unity, to strive for and maintain unity in the family, the community, the nation, and the race. And I use that as we're going into December. We are looking at KWANZAA all month long. And as always, we always want to remind you, vote, 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 vote. Of course, in the Commonwealth of Virginia, we vote every single year. And in the year 2025, it will be time for the governor races. We want you to be ready. We want you to be prepared. And we want you to vote. Our topic for today is tear this system down. And you're probably saying, why do that? We'll talk about that a little later. And our faith message today is Acts 2:1. And when the day of Pentecost was fully come, they were all with one accord in one place. And if you have any idea about how important it is to be unified, to be connected, to work together, you understand how important it is that we come together on one accord. And so with that being said, I want to bring you opening greetings. Yes, I am Georgia Allen with GA for Justice. And as always, every single week we come to you trying to bring a strong message to you with regards to what it is that we can do to make our community better, to strengthen our community, to build up our young people. And with that being said, we want to just thank Mr. Henderson Vaughn, aka Captain 85, aka the Dream Maker. And we want to thank him for his radio station, WVDM on the internet, who has opened up the airwaves to bring our listening audience a conversation, a simple conversation for information, a conversation for correction when necessary, as well as a conversation for transformation. And this is extremely important in this day and this time, because there are a lot of people coming to us and they are bringing us a lot of misinformation, a whole lot of disinformation, and just strictly straight up, no ifs, ands, or buts about it, straight up lies. And we want to try to defeat the enemy by bringing to this conversation a voice that you don't hear on the 24-hour network news. Now, my disclaimer, many of you are aware that I have worked in the area of civil rights. I have been a community activist for decades. Therefore, the various positions that I may take are mine and mine alone. I do not speak on behalf of any groups or any organizations that I may be affiliated with. So let's get that straight. These are my positions. This is where I stand on issues, and I stand there, again, unapologetically, because I believe that it is important that people stand strong on the things that they believe in, on the things that they're willing to fight for, and not back down. Our subject and the topic is tear this system down. You might want to know, why tear the system down? And I'll tell you, If something is not working for you, if it does not work for your best interests, the benefits are minimal value, shouldn't you examine that system? Shouldn't you examine what the problem is? And then shouldn't you go back and focus on some solutions? Thank you. We're going to have a short video for you. All right. Hope you enjoyed that. It was a voiceless clip, but we just want to make sure that you understand the times that we are in. And if you saw those faces, those were judges that President Biden recently appointed. Now, the wonderful things about this is those are federal judges, which means all of those young people have lifetime appointments. So when we talk about tearing the system down, you got to have something to build the system back up with. And so when we're looking at what is taking place in society today, we're looking at all the different things that have taken place over the last few years, the things that have done well, the things that have not gone so well. And the one thing that we can say is under the administration of Biden-Harris, we have seen some significant changes. Now, the problem that people have is they want everything. And this particular party is a big tent party with millions of people in that party and everyone wanting something different or wanting something more. And when that comes into play, you have to make some decisions because no one can fix all the problems, even down to church. A lot of people think, oh, well, I'm going to go to church and all my problems are going to be fixed. No, you go to church to get some support, but it doesn't necessarily fix your problems. It just simply gives you a place where there's a listening ear, where there are people there that can encourage you, but they can't fix you. They can encourage you, but they cannot fix you. So when I talk about tearing the system down, I had to take a look at what this system looks like. And for many years, America has operated in a system that had various different groups, but it also had various economic situations. Right now, we're living in a system that basically is a two-tier class system. Even if you think you have quite a bit of money, you are still on the bottom tier because you will probably never get to the top tier where these people have billions of dollars. It's enough to try to reach and become a millionaire in America's society today. At one point in time, you could save and scratch and scrape and work 2 or 3 jobs and put your money away. The savings account would grow. And so you could see the possibility of getting to a place where you would be in a financially secure situation. That is not necessarily the case today. In today's system, we have what we call the very, 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 very rich. And then we have the rest of America. And sometimes you might not think it's you because you make a 6-figure income. Sweetheart, it's you too. Let's talk about the American system and the several classes in this American system that exists. We have the upper class, but we also have the upper class. And I'm still not talking about billionaires, okay? I'm just talking about all of us down here. Then we have the lower class. So that means they're upper class, but they're not quite to the upper class. They're just a little bit lower than the upper class, and they're definitely not in the upper class. Then next, you have the middle class. But inside of the middle class, you have the upper middle class and you have the lower middle class. And then you get to the lower class people. And in the lower class people, you have the upper lower class, but you also have the lower class underneath the plain old lower class people. So as you can see, there were at one time, and this is what the America looked like. So therefore, you were able, if you were even in the upper lower class, but you weren't in the upper lower class, you were still able to assist those who may be in the lower class. But now you find yourself in a situation where even in the upper class or the upper middle class or the middle lower class, that you have a difficult time even assisting people in the various other groups. And so when we get to a situation like we are in today with America, we have to reevaluate this American system that we are in. We have to evaluate it on a number of levels. We have to evaluate it on the educational levels. We have to evaluate it on the economic level. We have to evaluate it on the business level. Can you start a business? Yes. Can that business be successful? Maybe. In the 1970s, the 1980s, the chances was probably a lot greater. Why? Because you didn't have to borrow quite as much money to start a business as you probably will have to do today. So therefore, that means something is wrong with the system. And if the system is not working, you need to tear it down and make a new system, one that will work and work more effectively. And why would we do that? Because there's more of us than there are of them. And if what they're doing is not in our interest, and we are in any one of these classes, or used to be, but the classes begin to fade, and now we probably have simply a lower class. We have a lower middle class, and then we have a lower so-called upper class. It's probably about all that's left. But most of us are all down here in the cesspool together. We're down here in this cesspool of insignificance together, meaning that most of us will probably never get to the point where we are even a $1 billion business or at an economic advantage. While we're listening and looking at people that are worth 20, 30, 50, 100 billions of dollars. And you have to ask yourself, how did that happen? Well, because a lot of it is on paper. A lot of it is because business owners sell stock and buy back stock. They actually work together and cause stocks to fall. I'm sure you've heard about a lot of the companies that are shutting down. Okay. You hear that a lot. You hear the companies are shutting down. Well, the people who are in the upper, what they do is when those so-called bankruptcies occur, and we know that basically because the guy that just got protected, I won't say elected, basically got protected, declared bankruptcies over and over and over again. But on paper, on paper, it could say that he was valued at, not really worth that much, just simply valued at a certain amount of money. So again, that system is not working and needs to be torn down. When you're making that type of money, it should not be that easy for you to declare bankrupt over and over again. So what does that mean for you and I? It means that we need to do something different. One, we need to look at our local government and how it operates. And are we electing the type of people in our local government that is in our best interest? I just got a notice today saying that our stormwater bill was going to go up. And I'm asking myself, does the system need to be torn down right here in the city of Virginia Beach? Because if my stormwater bill is going up, but yet they can decide to do a public-private partnership and spend millions upon millions of dollars, is that working for me? Is that working for my neighbor? Is that working for my children or my grandchildren? And you, those of you who are out there, when that happens in your state, your locality, are those type of decisions working for you? Because see, I'm talking to you. I'm concerned about your well-being. I'm concerned about whether or not when things get tough, when things get rough, that there's someone listening to you and working in your best interests. And so when I look at what is going on a local level, on a state level, on a national level, those systems are not aligning. They're not aligning. They don't make sense because in today's time, people should not have it so difficult. And I don't think it had anything to do with this current administration. I believe that there are a number of outside forces, and believe you me, I am not a conspiracy theorist, okay? But there are times when something don't look right, it doesn't smell right. The actions that are being taken do not feel right. And again, I'm talking to you personally, because I want you to think about what is taking place wherever you are and say, is there something that I can do on a local level? And if the system is broken and the system needs to be torn down, am I going to tear it all down at one time? Probably not. I'm probably going to strategically tear portions of it down and fix it to work in our best interests. I'm going to tear it down to fix it to work in our best interests. All right. It is time for our announcements, our acknowledgments, and our commemorations. On December the 1st, 1955, Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on a bus in Montgomery, Alabama, which led to the boycott that stayed in place until December the 20th, 1956. We can't get folks to walk for 1 minute, much less over 300 days. From December the 1st, 1955 to December the 20th, 1956. That was a year, y'all, plus a few extra days. And she should be commemorated. So I want to commemorate Rosa Parks for being willing to sit down so others could stand up today. On December the 3rd, 1970, Jennifer Josephine Houston, Hoston, Houston, became the first Black Miss World. She was the very first. Now, this is the oldest beauty pageant in the world, and that's why it's called Miss World. It was started in 1951 in the United Kingdom, and we're talking the world pageant. It is the oldest, is the Miss World pageant. On December the 3rd, International Day of Persons with Disabilities. So we want to recognize anybody that has any disabilities, regardless, as on December the 3rd, which was a couple of days ago, that was the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. And throughout the month, there's awareness of persons with disabilities. So we want to keep that in mind. December is HIV/AIDS Awareness Month. And also, December is National Impaired Driving Prevention Month. So we want to encourage people to drive carefully and make sure they don't drive under the influence, because we want people to be safe. In December, apparently a lot of people, it's holiday season. They're ripping and raring to get out to do all the things they want to do. And we want to make sure that our people are safe. And then finally, December is National Safe Toys and Gifts Month. Stop buying your kids these toys that they can swallow. If they're too young, don't buy them the teeny tiny toys. Buy them something so big that they can't fit it into their mouths. We have a lot of incidents during the month of December. And so we want to make sure that persons are being more careful and more responsible. Also, this coming Monday is NAACP Virginia Beach meeting, and that will take place at 7 p.m. at the Virginia Beach Hive. If you're in Virginia Beach, we want to invite you to come out and join us at 7 o'clock at the Virginia Beach Hive, located on Independence Boulevard and Columbus Street, directly across from Apex. I'm going to have to stop advertising them, or otherwise they're going to have to pay me. They need to pay me.
Yeah.
Because I advertise them every week when I tell you where they're, every month when I tell you about the NAACP meetings. And with that being said, we're now going to play you a short clip. And it's also almost like an announcement, because we want to make sure that what we share with you throughout this time, that it is beneficial. We want to make sure that everything that we do comes back to educating our community so that our community can be stronger. All right.
Was it Malcolm X who said to you, beware of the black middle class when it emerges? Martin Luther King.
Vusumuzi Lindamake,
Right.
the South African freedom fighter, told me that, he said, be careful. The black bourgeoisie will more often than not betray you, because they think they have something to lose. He said, if you want support in any action, try to find the Tutsi, which is a thug, black thug. He will know he has nothing to lose. If you're in danger, go and get him. He will help you. I found him to be absolutely right.
Would you call yourself black middle class?
You mean economically?
Certainly that.
Oh, I'm not. I'm beyond. I mean, I have money. So I'm not.
So when he
middle class.
warned you about that, do you feel as if somebody younger now is thinking you are the black middle class that I've got to be careful about?
Hardly
No?
me.
Yeah,
Somehow
I know.
they don't.
I know, but
I mean, it's just that I have money. You know, but that too. If a phone call can tell you that what you thought you have, you don't have, it's not very important. I mean, anything can happen. I know that. So financially, I seem to be secure.
You've not got middle class attitudes.
But
Is that what
that's
you're
it.
saying?
Think you know Black history? Think again.
All right. Thank you for that announcement. Thank you for that commemoration. What Maya Angelou just stated, being careful of the bourgeoisie, okay, that's important because a lot of times when we're out here on the battlefield working and we're making statements with regards to the system and the situations, we won't have someone who is in the upper class a lot of times that's willing to be in the fight with us. They're more comfortable staying away from the fight. So when I come out here and I speak because I feel it's important that there's someone who is championing the causes of persons who may not be able to speak for themselves. And sometimes even championing the cause of persons who really can speak for themselves, but they are afraid to speak for themselves. And that is why I feel that we need to tear down this system. Because when a system is so corrupt and so inept that it makes its citizens afraid, there is something very wrong with that system. There is something very, very wrong with that system because people should feel comfortable and confident in what is considered a democratic system of government. In a republic, people should be comfortable addressing concerns that they have. And if they're not comfortable doing that, then there's something wrong with the system and it needs to be torn down. It needs to be restructured. It needs to be rebuilt. And you say, well, where do you start? Where do we start? Well, first, I want to start by talking about all these people in these states that are living below the poverty level, who have all of these people in charge for decades, but they don't seem to get any better. Let's take a look at them. Okay. We have people in states where the system hasn't worked in decades. And I don't care whether that state is Kentucky, West Virginia, Alabama, Louisiana, Arkansas, Iowa, Idaho, Nebraska, North Dakota, South Dakota, or the Carolinas. Those systems have not been working in the best interest of the people. You'll find that happening also in places like Georgia and Florida, Texas. Oh, people can buy real big homes in Texas. But if you have a daughter in Texas and she gets raped and unfortunately gets pregnant through that rape, and she has any type of medical conditions, even if she decided that, you know what, yes, I was raped, but I'll go ahead and keep the child. If she has a medical condition that impairs her in any way, shape, or form, she may not be able to get medical assistance. That is a problem. That system needs to be torn down and rebuilt where it's stronger and it's better for your child. Because your child should not have to die because, one, she was raped, and two, she was impregnated, and three, she couldn't get medical care. That is a problem. That is a system that should be torn down. So I'm talking to you personally today. I'm talking to you personally because if we don't do something about these systems that are in place, it will not be better for the next generation. You saw earlier that Rosa Parks was willing to put her life on the line and sit in that seat. And keep in mind, back then, a bus driver had every right to beat her in the head. Not only take her off the bus, but kick her off the bus. had every right to do that in 1955. But she was willing to sit down so that we could stand up. So we have a responsibility. We need to be accountable for what we are and what we are not doing. We need to be held accountable, because if someone no bigger than Rosa Parks was willing to put her body at risk, surely we can do better in today's time. When our city government can give away money in all of these various development projects all over this city, which are quite costly, they should be able to figure out how to have enough money in the storm water fund so that they don't have to keep raising the price of storm water to the residents. These are master degrees, people, masters in finance, masters in accounting, and you can't figure out, as city managers, as assistant city managers, what needs to be done to be financially sound in your city. You can't figure that one out. That is a problem. That is a problem. So if you're living in Virginia Beach or Arkansas or West Virginia or any of these places, and you're running into similar situations, you need to talk to your city manager. You need to talk to your city council elected official. And if you're living in the states that I named earlier, many of them have numerous people living below the poverty line. Numerous people living below the poverty line. They're not just lower middle class. They are at the bottom of the bucket, lower class people. And they've been living in those conditions for decades. Something is wrong with those systems if these people are never able to come out of them. They're living lives of desperation. Something is wrong with those systems. And I'm presenting this to you today because I need you to think about it. I need you to think about it wherever you live, wherever you are. So you may ask, well, what can we do about it? What can we do about these systems that are in place? Well, first of all, take a look at some of the richest people in the country. Research them. Find out where their money is being held. Yes, they own businesses, but do you have to buy from those businesses? Is it necessary? Can you do a boycott instead of a boycott? See, boycott says we're not going to buy from them. A boycott says we're going to move our money and buy elsewhere. We're going to move our money to buy somewhere else so we can continue to boycott all the time. We can say, hey, I'm going to buy over here. I'm going to buy over here without ever saying, I'm not going to buy with you. I just don't buy with you. I just don't buy with you because my intent is to tear the system down. Where do you hold your money? Bank, credit unions? Have you taken a look at the board of directors for the bank that you work for? Do you walk inside the bank and look at the photos on the wall? Do any of the photos look like you? Do they? See, there are certain things that you become oblivious to. And you just go and you do business and you say, oh, wow, I've been doing business with you guys for a number of years. But in order to correct a system, you have to be willing to put some skin in the game. You have to be willing to be inconvenienced temporarily to have a better outcome long term. So you can, again, remove your support without boycotting by just boycott. That's when you buy from somewhere else and you stop buying from over here. But you pick and you choose wisely. Are you buying from companies that are working on your behalf? Do they have a DEI? And people are like, what is DEI? I don't know about DEI. You know, they get a little shaky when they hear certain terms, and and so they're like, oh no, DEI, that doesn't sound right. Well, you know what? If people don't want to do diversity, equity, and inclusion, guess what? You don't have to buy from them. It is not mandated. There's no mandate that says you must buy from one store or another. You choose. You choose who you're going to do business with. You choose where you're going to shop. You choose. Part of the problem is we get in the habit of doing some of the things over and over again versus taking a step back, reviewing what we're doing, and making changes. You can make changes, you know. You don't have to stay on the same road. There's a lot of roads that lead to your destination. It is not necessary to take this one road every single solitary time. And part of the problem is we get in the habit of staying on the same road. That may not be the road you need to be on. You may want to change. You may want to change. You may want to change how you get to your destination. There are a number of things that you can do. Again, when the stock market does a lot of things, sometimes it drops and it gets low. Sometimes it moves up slowly. Sometimes it moves quickly. Depending upon what is taking place can determine whether the stock market is making a correction or whether or not the stock market is actually going to go down and more or less explode. So we want to take a look at those type of things. Where do you have your money? Who are you spending your money with? If you want to tear the systems down, keep in mind it's not just one system. It's a number of entities within the system that's creating problems. Therefore, you don't have to use cancel culture. You can just correct the culture. You can check out financial planners, financial advisors. Are they properly licensed? You have a responsibility to check them out and find out. Do they have a Series 6? Do they have a 66? Do they have a 65? Do they have a 7? Are they claiming to be something that they are not? Because there are a lot of companies out here and they all call themselves financial planners. Know the difference. Know the difference between an advisor and a planner. One has to have a lot more credentials than the other. So make sure that when you're talking with people, yeah, they may know something about financing, but do they know what you need them to know in order to manage your household business? Because guess what? If you're an adult, you have a business. It's called your household. Whether you go out and create a personal business or not, your household is a business. So you want to be very careful who you get to manage your business. Where's your local government investing? Is your local government, when it comes to their retirement account, are they investing more in private prison systems than they are in other entities? Because if that's the case, as a citizen, you should know where the money is being invested. Because guess what? If those people in your city are getting paid, they're getting paid with your tax dollars. It's your money that is paying their salaries, but it's also your money that is paying for their health care, that is paying for their retirement account. If that system is not working, then you need to investigate that system, and if necessary, tear the system down so you can have a different outcome. So your money is not being wasted. So to ensure that your money is not going to the prison industrial complex. These are very important concerns that we all need to have when we're looking at this system that's supposed to work in our interests. Did you have something you wanted to share, Henderson?
Well, just to reiterate what you just said, that when they invest the money in privatized prisons, that means that they got to keep the prison filled. So crime in our area all of a sudden is escalating out of control. Guns are in our community. The pipeline to prison is real. So if they're investing money into a privatized prison, when there's 3 generations of Black and brown men, the father, the grandfather, and the son, and that's a document that's on YouTube that's been over there, that's been out there about over 20 some years. That was a documentary made of Virginia prison system, and the system is, people, it's a lot going on with the prison system when they do the population growth of a state. Like Virginia, the population growth of a state is also when they shift. Other states don't have adequate room in their prisons. They can send them here, and that counts for the population growth of a state.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of stuff going on with tax,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember when I lived in Lorton, Washington, D.C. did not have a federal prison.
Right.
But they had a federal prison in the state of Commonwealth of Virginia, in the county of Lorton. And so what did they do? They sent people from Washington, D.C. to the Lorton prison system, which increased the number of people in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So what does that do? When there is a census and they're looking to determine how much money will go into a particular county, how much money will go into a particular area, that prison population can skew the numbers one way or another, so that this particular area can get additional funding based upon the number of people that are in the prison system. You are absolutely, positively right with that message. I had mentioned DEI earlier, and some people are, they're just about to have a fit about DEI. And I decided that we want to look at DEI from a position of not just diversity, equity, and inclusion, but destiny, elevation, and innovation. We want to make sure that when we get ready to tear the system down, we want to make sure we know what the destiny is. We want to know what the destination is. We want to know that we're putting things in place to ensure that not only do we get to our destination, but we make sure that we do things in a manner that it doesn't end with us, that we've also forecast the things that might take place in the future. We forecast the things that may go wrong so that we're able to compensate for that. So when we're looking at these various things, don't just look at the now, look at the next, look at the new, and look at the generations that are coming behind each and every one of us. Also, when we're looking at tearing down a system, we also need to make sure we're communicating that message with each other, that we're communicating that message with our young people, because they need to understand what tearing down a system means. They need to understand why this can be important to them, how it can be important to them, and what type of impact it can have on them. And if we're not communicating that, that too is a problem. And as we're coming to a close, we the people, I want to just remind us, we the people really do have the power. It's how we use our power. It's how we leverage our power. It's how we wield our power is the important thing. And if we don't do those things, then we're going to leave our children basically without the infrastructure that they will need in order to succeed. Finally, as we come to a close, we can no longer look to others to fix our problems. We can't look to anyone else. We must be the solution. And we must be willing to correct a society that has damaged the value of our institutions. They have damaged the value of our families. They have damaged the value of our communities. And if a stock market can have a correction, we certainly can have a correction. So with that being said, I am GA for Justice. This is Georgia Allen. I hope this was beneficial to you. There's still a lot of work to do. Thank you for joining me today, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
As usual, a great topic and a great conversation with the one and only, the community activist, Miss Georgia Allen. And don't forget, holidays are on its way. Christmas is around the bend. I know people are going to start decorating their trees. Hey, but don't forget to share the GA for Justice link, and for your family and friends to get to know what we do and what we stand in for. It's not about us. It's about our future generation. And with that said, join us next Thursday once again with GA for Justice on WVDM. And happy holidays. I had to put that Christmas tree. I don't want them to think that we was, just talking. Until next week, we'll see you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.